Alright, so it's time for one of my more popular segments on this channel, and that is Mailbag. I'm not entirely sure why, but you guys seem to enjoy watching me open packages that I buy on Amazon. But anyway, we're in a different location this time. This is actually my college dorm room, which, if you're wondering why I haven't produced videos in a while, this is why. I kind of ran out of a content buffer, and I haven't really been able to get time to produce anything, so here we are. So I've just got a few things, one of which I'm particularly interested in. But anyhow, got the Amazon Prime packaging because, you know, as a student you get that for free for like 6 months or something like that. So still running out that free trial Amazon Prime. Alright, so these are Neopixel LEDs. I've done a couple of videos on these in the past, but I've actually started using all of the sets of these that I have right now, and I'm actually using them in the dorm room here as kind of decorations. I may actually do a dorm room tour at some point in the near future, but anyway, I bought these to use as Christmas lights here in the future, since that's coming upon us pretty soon. And these ones are a little bit nicer than the ones that I already have, because these have black wire on them instead of the red, white, and blue wire, which doesn't look very good on a Christmas tree. So these should look a little bit better than the ones that I used last year for my Christmas tree. So anyway, those came in a actually kind of nice little box. They give you a connector here, as well as the lights, of course. And we'll go ahead and open up our next package. Alright, so these are actually our final two items already. I have not bought a whole lot of stuff, but I've gotten a couple of tools here that should make my life a little bit easier. Now, as a freshman in college, at least school that I go to, you actually do get to work on one sort of design project type thing. This is it's real basic. I might do a video on that some other time as well, but one of the things that I have been wanting to have was a hot glue gun to make building that thing a decent bit easier. So this was $11 for a hot glue gun and hot glue, I think 30 hot glue sticks. So that's relatively self-explanatory. It's a hot glue gun. It's blue and orange. Got a kickstand. Has a cord. Not sure how long the cord is. Probably about 3 feet. Even comes with instructions. So anyway, that should be useful. Now, for the purposes of this channel, the most interesting thing that's here is probably going to be this. Now, this is actually a soldering kit, so it's one of the relatively cheap kits. This was $25.99 and it had a $3 off coupon where you just, it's one of those things on Amazon where you just click on the box and it gives you the coupon. So this ended up being $22.99, and this has a temperature-controlled soldering iron on it. Now, I found these a while ago, and I hadn't seen them up until recently, but these are supposedly a digitally temperature-controlled soldering iron, just all built into the handle. It just has 110 volts coming in, as you can see there. But this is kind of like an updated version of the ones that just have the little dial on them, and in reality, the ones with the little dial are not temperature-controlled whatsoever. It's just a wattage control. It's basically just a light dimmer circuit shoved into a soldering iron handle. So those are not temperature controlled whatsoever. This, in theory, according to what this says, you know, anyway, it should be a temperature controlled iron. And it shouldn't be too hard to find out either, so we will test that before I end the video. I have been using this thing as my main soldering iron for a little while here, and I actually started to do some real soldering the other day. I was kind of working on some Arduino stuff, and that's going to eventually be used for this project. But I've been using this thing, which is the butane Weller P2K, I believe it is, Portasol soldering iron. And this thing, you know, it's just not great. These butane irons really don't work well for any kind of precision work like this, so that was pretty hopeless. Well, actually, it worked okay. I eventually ran out of gas, though, and I figured I should probably get something that I can actually use for this. I didn't really want to bring my big Heiko FX 888D because that would take up quite a bit of my desk space here. So this thing I can kind of stow away in a drawer and it's not so big of a deal. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we've got in here. We actually have a little bit of stuff in here anyway. You got a desoldering pump. This is not actually metal. It's like chromed plastic. This feels incredibly cheap. Got good suction though, I'll give it that. So I'll be willing to bet that probably works okay as long as the tip's made out of something that doesn't melt really easily. You got the iron itself. Which feels incredibly light. You've got a screen protector on it. And then this has temperature up button, temperature down button, and what I'm thinking is on-off switch. But anyway, you've got this rubberized grip here. It doesn't feel too bad. The cord is not very flexible, but what was I expecting, I guess? 0.5 square millimeter copper, supposedly. Probably nothing special. Non-polarized, so this will not be grounded, and it won't be considered to be ESD safe for sure, because this does not have a ground pin, but it'll probably still work fine. I believe this is one of the, style where that comes off, and then you've got the tip, which is just directly on the ceramic heating element there, which that has absolutely no support holding it, so that's not exactly great. Alright, so I'm interested to see how this performs against the Hakko FX888D, because this is a 60 watt iron. FX888D, of course, is a 65 watt iron, so this is in the same class for sure. Also might be interesting to see like this versus a TS100, because you can buy this iron without the kit, and it goes for about $19. So this may be, for bench irons at least, this may be a good alternative to the TS100. Of course, this isn't going to be good for portable field work because you got to have it plugged into 120 volt, but still may be a good option if you wanted a decent bench iron and didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, which is what I'm planning on using it for anyway. Alright, so we'll go ahead and continue going through the kit here. We've got some wire, red and black. This is probably like 20 gauge or something. Relatively thin. Looks like they give you a decent amount of it. This is the sponge for this little stand here, which the stand's got a bit of weight to it, so that's not too terrible. That goes in there. You get this little thing that flips up. Pretty basic soldering iron stand, nothing special there. You got this, which I believe is supposed to be some sort of wire stripper. Not entirely sure how you work that thing, but anyway, I believe that's a wire stripper. We've got some more tips, so this comes with a total of 6, because I got 5 in here and 1 already on the iron, so that's cool. In terms of the tips that we actually have here, we have one of these little tiny bent over conical ones. I think Louis Rossmann likes to use that kind of tip for his MacBook repairs and whatnot, so maybe this is the new iron for repairing your MacBooks, I don't know. Then we've got a normal conical tip. We've got a chisel tip. We've got one of the sort of flat one-sided chisel tips, if you will, and we've got one of these guys. And the tip that's on here, I believe, is also just a conical tip. So you get 2 conical tips, it looks like, that are exactly the same, or very similar at least. So this doesn't seem to tighten up. Yeah. If you tighten it up relatively well, there's some wobble in that. I don't know if you can hear it. That's interesting. It's definitely built with price in mind. We've got not 1 but 2 pairs of tweezers. So there's a little cover for these too. So we got straight tweezers and angle tweezers, so that's relatively nice. And we even have a bit of solder, which I'm assuming is going to be lead free. Alright, so I apologize if the exposure has gone really crazy on this video. Of course, I'm filming against a black background, which just doesn't work that well. But anyway, we've got to go ahead and add some water to the sponge, so we'll do that. Way too much water to the sponge, but there we go. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to this iron as I would with any other iron that has a new tip. or anytime that I replace the tip on my iron, and we'll go ahead and just wrap the tip up in solder, because this will also give us a good indication as how long this thing takes to melt solder. Alright, so I have some solder on the tip. We'll plug this thing in and see what it does. So initially it looks like it does absolutely nothing. I'll actually believe the display is supposed to be this way, so I'll turn that around. I'm going to press this red button because I think that's what's supposed to turn it on. Maybe I'll press and hold it. Yep, there we go. Set at 350 degrees. Apparently I can change that. Set it at 300. Then do I have to hit it again to get it to actually go? It's negative 20 degrees C. What is... Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. It heats up relatively quickly. Actually, that's not bad. You go ahead and set the temperature lower. Looks like we get 5-degree increments. Of course, it's in Celsius, so I have no idea what I'm doing here. Melted solder, which is always a good start. And if I had to guess, right off the bat here, I would say that this is actually temperature controlled. And the only reason why I'm assuming that is because you can see we still have smoke coming off of this from the flux. A lot of times if you have a non-temperature controlled iron, they will just get so hot that the flux will vaporize almost instantly. So this at least has some degree of temperature control to it. I'm not entirely sure what we've got. I'm going to set it at 180 and let it sit, because I'm thinking that 180 is probably lower than the melting point of the solder. So if it is actually temperature controlled, the solder should solidify after a while. Though I will have to probably check that. I'll just let this sit here at 180 degree set point and see what it does. Alright, so this has been sitting here for not very long. I just went and looked up on the internet. According to the internet, lead-free solder should have a melting point of around 220 degrees Celsius. So set at 180. It is indeed still melting solder, and still melting solder relatively quickly, so I don't have high hopes for this thing being really precisely temperature controlled. But again, as you can see, the flux smoke continues to come off of this thing for a decent little while, so it doesn't seem to be just completely cooking the element at the very least. Okay, so I started reading a little instruction booklet. Apparently this thing in here, this minus 20, this is a offset, so this is actually the calibration for it. So apparently they have some high hopes in that this thing is relatively accurate. So I'm going to set that to a calibration of 0. I don't know if that'll make any difference, but I am also noticing that the solder that's on this tip is still a nice clean color, and it's been sitting here for a while. So it definitely can't be overly hot. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to measure it with. And another thing that it does say is it should only take it a few seconds, or it should display the temperature as it heats up. So we'll see what happens here. It may actually change the temperature. I don't know. Showing 270. We're starting to burn off more flux, so I'm assuming that it's going up to 270 right now. Yep, okay. So apparently it just reached 270 degrees. And then the blinking C indicates that it's holding temperature, so at the very least this doesn't seem too bad for a little soldering iron. I'll have to use it for a while and do some comparison tests to some different tools, but so far seems to work relatively well. Alright, so that's going to conclude today's mailbag video. If you like the video, click on the like button. If you really like the video, consider clicking on the subscribe button. And if you want to know more about the soldering iron, leave a comment and I'll probably end up doing a review on this thing in some point. Also, if you want to see a tour of my dorm room, you can leave a comment about that as well. I will also leave links to all of these products in the video description. They are not affiliate links or anything, but if you want to know where to buy them, they will be in the description. So anyway, that's it for now, guys. Bye.